Hello and welcome to the dungeons. Dayman here. Today we're back at it with some mythical content, but today's a little bit different as I want to discuss how to best pair your mythical weapons with a loadout to get the most out of your kit. Thus far, we have only looked at mythical weapons in a vacuum, how well they perform on their own, but no one's going into the dungeon with one weapon. So, let's get to it. You may have already noticed, by the way, that good old Dayman has got his peepers back. The better to see you with, my dear. However, they certainly aren't too appealing to look at, so why don't we put on some stunner shades, baby? Of course, we got cool guy glasses, but IRL I liked when I wear my rose-colored shades that make the world just seem that much more peachy. Alright. When we're talking about the Mythical Dagger, this is a weapon that I see many people picking up, and so I figured it'd be wise to discuss how best to use this wonderful weapon. Now, you can already see my initial suggestions are that you use an ice crossbow with multi-shot. Mine is criticals and 8-shot, which I might even recommend that you pick up an ice only, as you will be able to get those ice shots off about 32% of the time with no competition of other perks. Another great utility with your dagger is an ice axe. Not just any ice axe, but one that utilizes explosions. And you're never going to see Dayman without his criticals. But let's say you don't have an ice axe or one with explosions. Well, an explosion axe in and of itself will do you just fine. However, you never want to be pairing up your elements too much. If you're running an ice crossbow, those ice enemies are going to do you harm, won't they? So instead, I would recommend picking up a fire and explosions axe. Now, fire will help cover up the elemental gaps in your kit, while also allowing you to deal significant damage to even boss-type enemies, granting a ×2 damage when the fire procs and a ×2 damage when the explosions procs. So, the reason why we pair this with a ice weapon is so that the pursuing daggers can then destroy and shatter the various enemies that you have triggered your ice against. Now, this ice combination is very well and good, but you don't need to go with a crossbow. In fact, I strongly believe that the ice staff is one by which has the most consistent usage for deploying the ice effect. So, ice staff and dagger, frankly, is almost too broken. So if you're trying to be an absolute menace to those undead hordes, well, baby, I tell you what, ice staff and dagger is the way to go. So, let's assume that this that ice combo isn't something that you want to cheese through the dungeons. Well, anything that's going to allow you to get the most damage off all at once will also do you quite well. Something else you can do is using things like a gravity staff or a force staff to knock enemies to the floor, allowing for some quick cleanup. Another reason that fire is pretty good. However, I keep the suggestion of ice only so much that it allows you to basically work as the cleanup crew. Now, let's say you don't necessarily want to rely on ice-based weapons, and you don't want to use an ice staff for your back slot. Well, ice potions and bombs are a great pairing. So if you're trying to be the one-and-done master, you're going to go ahead and take everything out with a single shot, well, you can go ahead and grab both of these potions, deploy and destroy, baby. Boom. Basically, the ice staff and dagger combo is that in a nutshell. So, with that in mind, you're getting ready to go ahead and start blasting with that dagger. Now, we're not done with our suggestions, because I also want to suggest what other weapons or mythical weapons are good to pair with other mythical weapons. Now, double daggers. Double daggers are an insane combination. So if you have a mythical dagger, it isn't a bad suggestion to pick up 2 of them. You might want to broaden your scope of mythical weapons, but they will suit you just fine. Another thing that I really quite enjoy to pair with my mythical weapon is going to either be the hammer for that very similar knockdown effect, giving me time to clean up. And one of the few weapons that makes a good pairing with the dagger is the axe for a side weapon, as you can hold enemies in place during that buzzsaw period, allowing you to, focus down high single target damage. So this is a single target damage, machine. Say you're against a boss, you can charge up your axe, buzzsaw it into them, and then continue deploying multiple branches of daggers while that thing is going off. Well, other weapons that you might want to pair with this would also be the mythical bow. Oh, poor Dayman has not yet acquired himself a mythical bow, but that's allowing you to be an absolute ranged unit. But I can just show off my favorite. This is just, isn't this bow just beautiful, everyone? Just beautiful. Good job, devs. So this is another way that you can get the most out of those shots. And then once they're frozen with those high DPS, either slowed or frozen, you can go ahead and take advantage of them with your dagger. Shank them dead, baby. All right. Now, I think anything pairing with the mythical crossbow is good, only because the mythical crossbow needs support, not because the dagger benefits from it. So multi-shot ice is my go-to, just because I don't like cheesing with a frost staff, but frost staff is the most powerful combination with the dagger. Now, keep learning from good old Dayman so I can get my fleshy parts back. Oh, yeah. I miss looking at you with my peepers, and now I finally can see you. Alright, remember to wash that face mask and disinfect your face, baby. Dayman out. Peace.